Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I have loved you for years through Sharon, of course. So, Dr. Bijay, I'm so glad you're here and
Me too.
be able to share with people some of your wisdom, your knowledge from your years as practicing as an Ayurvedic doctor.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's been 42 years.
42 years.
Yeah.
I know we relate that way. Both been teaching more than 40 years out there.
Yeah.
What a life, huh?
It's been magical. Yeah. Really
Yeah.
wonderful.
So, what advice would you want to start with sharing with people? I mean, as far as some really practical, easy tips, what people can do from the Ayurvedic principles, what are some of the most profound tricks, so to speak, things that they can easily incorporate?
Well, what I think is one of the most profound things that we got from Ayurveda is something called dinacharya, which is daily routine, and ritucharya, which is seasonal routine. So, in daily routine, what we've done is we've broken the cycle of the day into six different segments, 3 hours each. And we start the morning at 6 a.m. till 10 a.m. with a kapha period. And that's a time because kapha is slow, it's water, it's easy going. We don't want to rush out of bed and go face the world. We
No
want to,
alarms,
right.
please.
This is why people need coffee in the morning because it is a slow period of time. But it's a time to nurture because that's what kaphas are so good at is they just flow with life and they're not getting all ruffled with things. So we want to practice that. It's easier to meditate during that time. It's great to take a nice bath and do your yoga practice and do your meditation, not to eat a lot of food because kapha isn't fire. It's not going to digest food. And if you have a lot of kapha in your constitution, you especially don't want to eat food because there's no agni or digestive fire. But when we hit 10 o'clock in the morning till 2 in the afternoon, when the sun's the hottest in the sky, our belly is the hottest. And like we say in Ayurveda, hot belly, cool head. So our belly's hot. We want to digest our food. We want to make sure that we have fuel for the day. So we start doing that around 10. And once we're fueled up, then we can fire up and get out into the world. And about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, we move into the Vata cycle. And during that cycle, there's a lot of movement and energy. And we all know
Vata is the air
air
principle.
principle, exactly. So why don't we capture that air and take advantage of it, like running out and doing errands or exercising or having fun conversations that are playful or doing your art, doing a craft or something like that. Running around picking up the kids and delivering them to a yoga class or a Tai Chi class or whatever your kids are into. And then at 6 p.m., we start the second kapha cycle. It's time to come back and nurture yourself again and nurture your family, bond together, sit by the fire, share your day with one another. Again, if you're a kapha person, better to eat right before 6 p.m. so that you have some air to move that food through.
What a powerful shift that can create for
It's
people's functioning.
It's so amazing. Yeah. And then if you're having a hard time falling asleep, get in bed before 10 p.m. because kapha is easy going and it drops into sleep like that. Whereas if you wait till you get into the pitta cycle from 10 to 2 again, then you're fired back up again. I can remember when my kids were little and
I
they
was,
would get to bed and then I'm like, okay, it's time to get my stuff done. And it'd be 2 a.m., the end of pitta cycle,
no,
before the
perfect.
motor turned off,
Yeah,
right?
being a mother of four myself,
Yeah.
a single mother of four, that's when
I was a
we got,
single mother of three. So yeah,
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 that's when we got stuff done. We got the
exactly.
kids to bed. Now we can,
But that's a good way to burn out, right? As we,
um,
so anyway, but at 10 o'clock, this is a magical moment because where we digest food in the daily cycle from 10 to 2 in the daytime, 10 to 2 at night is another amazing cycle because at 10 p.m. we start producing all our growth hormone while we're sleeping. And if we're not sleeping, we're not producing growth hormone. And as people know, our growth hormone peaks at 25 and it starts going downhill
yeah,
from
and
there.
that's the real principle for anti-aging, that, you know,
Absolutely.
that you grow young with HGH kind of principle, but
Yeah.
human growth hormone,
Yeah.
and that's necessary then for balancing all the hormones and keeping our testosterone levels even as women to keep that
Yes.
fired up. And
And the
yeah,
melatonin, is another one that it really helps by being asleep during this cycle. And we process what we had occurred with us during the day. So if we had a really stressful day from 10 to 2 while we're sleeping, we're processing or digesting that so we don't repeat it tomorrow. And if we don't sleep, then we don't process that information in our subconscious mind. And then from midnight to 2, we drop into a really deep sleep. And then from 2 to 6 a.m. is the second Vata cycle. And if a person is high in Vata or they're over 55 and they're in the Vata years of their life, this is where their bladder starts moving more often. They start being restless in bed. Their mind gets busy. If they just even look at the clock on the way to the bathroom, they're like, oh my gosh, I have so many hours. And then their mind starts thinking about that, and then they don't sleep. And then they end up thinking about 6 a.m., okay, I got to get up. But it turned into Kapha time. And then they go, now I could sleep for 4 hours. And they fall back asleep, and it's 10 a.m. before they wake up. So we see why that happens in Ayurveda. And when we start to understand the why of it, then all of a sudden we can start to honor those cycles, and we come back into rhythm, and we do the right things at the right time. And it becomes such a beautiful gift to our body, which is a temple for the divine. And so we talk about something in Ayurveda called Vidya, and Vidya means living wisdom. And there's all the
knowledge,
all the
wisdom,
wisdom in the universe is already here.
the
We
infinite
have to become the
intelligence.
vessel for it, and the only way we can become a vessel is to be the empty bucket.
Yeah.
So, like the Zen koan says, enlightenment is the bucket with the bottom broken through. So, part of my goal as a practitioner in Ayurveda is to help people empty their bucket so that Vidya can always come through this temple of ours. So, I love Ayurveda so much, and I love the cycles of the seasons also. So, that's another
That is
one we can.
such useful wisdom to be able to share with people as far as functional to help understand
Yeah.
and utilize those process times
Mm-hmm.
in to be much more effective with our lives. I really appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah, I really do too appreciate having the gift of that in my life. The other cycle that's so important is the yearly cycle. So where we start our year on January 1st, we practice more of a feminine based medicine. So we start our year on December 21st, which is Kapha season,
Yeah.
where we drop into the body, and it's again Kapha time of day.
And that's
We
the winter solstice then
Yes.
is like the New Year's
Mm-hmm.
in the Ayurvedic
Or you
tradition.
could even say when halfway through spring is another cycle that we switch over to Pitta. But during this Kapha cycle, what's so beautiful about it is, and we don't honor this actually too much in life, but we should be hibernating. We should be going inward. We should be going into our darkness and finding out what needs to be cleaned up. Most people put on a little more weight in the winter because it's Kapha time. They may get a little more depressed if they or get SADS, seasonal affective disorder, because it's darker days and lighter nights. Or yeah. And so, or not really lighter nights, but
Darker nights,
dark,
longer nights.
longer nights, yes. And so during that time, kapha is accumulating, but it's to build our storehouse back up again. And normally we think about changing seasons on the spring equinox, but in Ayurveda, we cut spring in half. So it's literally 6 weeks after kapha cycle or winter ends. We go 6 more weeks, and that ends up getting us to May Day. And May Day, it's like May Day, May Day, it's all over again. And this is the time we start Pitta cycle. And the flowers are reaching towards the sun, and it's drying up the snow and melting it and all that, and allowing the fire to be re-stimulated, and we grow and we start to move towards the sun, and we get longer and longer days until the summer
And we
solstice hits.
spring forth again
Right.
into the
Yes.
into that expression
And
of
then
life.
we peak out on June 21st, right? That's the peak summer solstice,
Longest
the
day.
longest days, the shortest nights. And during that Pitta cycle, especially if we're a Pitta constitution, we might overspend our energy because we have so many days of light, right?
Yeah.
And during that time, we have to be really careful so we don't go into burnout. So pittas can get that during the summer, but for a kapha, it finally melts the snow and the stagnation in their body and allows them to have more mobility. And then on the fall equinox, it's the Vata cycle begins. And this is when we dry out and we cool down the heat from Pitta season, and the winds start to blow like a fan on the Pitta to blow out the fire. But as we know, if we've ever been to the desert and it's been windy, how dry we can get. So for Vatas, if they're really dry by nature anyway, which is one of the attributes of Vata, it can be a really challenging time. And they get so dry that they become very mobile and their mind becomes very mobile, and they'll go into a lot of anxiety and worry and stress, along with a lot of the seasonal issues that come up with all the holidays and stress that's associated with fall and, you know, Christmas and all that that comes in. So this is a period of time where there's depletion happening, but like anything in nature, it has to go through a growth, a substance, and a destruction. And so during those three phases of life, we can honor them and support them. And if we have a particular dosha that's high, we be more mindful during that time so that we don't exacerbate, you
Yeah.
know, that particular dosha.
Yeah. And how do you see the EE system as supporting and helping people with all of the processes that our bodies want to go through?
Well, I just recently was in your system and down in Encinitas, and I had such a wonderful experience. And I just felt like every single human being needs to be in one of these systems regularly.
Because it's a pristine, energetic environment where you're finally not being bombarded 24/7. All the
Absolutely.
EMF, ELF radiation and taking all our energy just to cope with a hostile environment, all this stuff they're spraying, all the toxins, living in such a toxic soup. The body goes finally, ah, I
Yeah.
can relax. And
And that's what Ayurveda is about, is to get us to that place, but it takes effort. And in the EE system, it takes no effort. You just get to receive grace. And it's such a graceful place to be, to rest in that field.
yeah,
And so I think that if we could practice the two together, it would be ideal.
yeah.
But there'd probably be less things that you had to do in Ayurveda if you could just be in that system
Rest,
regularly.
relaxation, recharge,
Absolutely.
and regeneration time, you know?
Yes.
Rest and recharge, because otherwise people aren't getting there easily at all, as you know.
No. And
And then they're burning out or getting anxious, or so this is a way for the whole body to go, and
yes.
finally relax, and then literally reboot to be ready to face the world again. And
What I
so it was Brad Hunsaker there in
Yes.
Encinitas.
Yes, he was. And it was such a beautiful experience to be there. He's so gracious in the way that he sets you up to receive. And what I felt while I was on in the lounge chair receiving was that vidya that I talked about earlier, that living wisdom is so prevalent inside the space. And when I emptied up, I just got so flooded with wisdom. And I walked out of there just so rejuvenated and so ready to move forward in my life. And I thought, wow, we need one of these in Laguna Beach. So,
That's what I call cellular enlightenment, but that connection with the infinite intelligence, and letting yourself know at a cellular level anything and everything God wants you to know, the infinite knowledge, Vedas,
yeah,
Ayurveda. Veda means knowledge,
yes,
wisdom.
yes,
Yeah, and we're to be filled with that because that is our innate, it's our nature,
it is absolutely
our
our nature.
eternal nature.
Yeah.
And so that the technology, what I created it for is to bring people back into that place of the no the inner knowledge, the inner wisdom, and that activation of the light within us. And then I know you've had fun with some of our hypercharged products, just like I have my hypercharged hydrogen bottle here, but I know you've enjoyed some of those too. You have the medallions and bracelets too. Or I
I,
know,
I don't have those.
yeah, you use our gold mask.
Oh, the gold mask. I love that mask so much. I can't believe how regenerated my skin looks when I do that. And it's
Yeah.
wonderful how you can use it and then put it back in the case and use it again. And it's like, great, because I don't have too many of these left.
Yeah. And the
I just,
intention with that, with the gold, is that support of the third eye, for the meditation,
yes.
but the production of the melatonin, but that, so it's really useful. Gold's really good for regeneration, but it's really good for high states of meditation. So I tell people to put it on and meditate with it.
Well, we use in Ayurveda basmas, which are, minerals and gold, silver, uh, different shells, all kinds of things in our medicine, our rasa medicines. And gold is one of the most potent ones that they'll put in some of the formulas to give immortality. So it's such a powerful metal.
Immortality medicine. I think that's good for longevity.
Yes, yes. And my company name is Living Rasa because Rasa medicine is all about the
And
immortality
rasa means
factor.
sweet relationships.
That's one of the meanings. It has, in Sanskrit, there's about 7 meanings for every potent word in Sanskrit, and each one works on a different level of your being. So rasa does mean that, but it also means heavy metals and anything metallic that in small dilution causes a potentization of other herbs or medicines. So that's one meaning. Rasa is also our immune system. So our immune system has a rapport with other beings, and rasa means rapport also. So if we have a
Rapport,
good
relationship.
if we have a good rasa, that means that our rapport is in
Yeah.
resonance with one another.
Resonant fields. It's also a bit of a dance, rasa. It's
Yes,
joyful.
the rasa dance. That was the rasa leela
Rasa
of Krishna.
Leela.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. The joy of life.
absolutely. So
So I
if we
want to
can live
thank you,
there,
Bijay. And I know part of what people need to know is how to really support their being at this time on this planet. Besides with the EE system, I always like to talk about living food too.
oh
Yeah,
yes,
so important. I mean, don't get more aliveness by putting in more dead stuff, obviously. Fresh, live, raw, high vibration, high frequency foods. And I know you work with that as well.
yes, I do. And of course, we talk about cooking food fresh, daily and not eating leftovers. That's a big deal in Ayurveda because the food loses its prana the minute it's done being cooked. If we do cook food, and we do tend to cook food more in Ayurveda than some systems, because partly because of the parasite issue in India, but
In India.
but also because it keeps Vata balanced. But I also work with a company called Purium, and Purium is such an amazing product because you're getting these dehydrated foods at a very low dehydration rate at
So they
75
have the
degrees.
aliveness
So the
still.
prana is still intact,
The
and the
prana
minute
is intact, the enzymes are intact, and it's also raw condensed nutrition now that body can relate to because it's food,
it's
which is
absolute
nourishment,
food, and most people don't get enough nutrients in their
and the
body, so
greens
it's
especially.
concentrated and it doesn't overfill you where you can't eat later, but it does sustain you. So if you want to get a lot of nutrition,
But it is also fast food, a
it
healthy
is so
fast
fast
food.
food. I mean, I cannot travel without my blender
Yeah.
and my shake
So
powder.
easy to travel with.
It's
I
so
shake it
easy.
up wherever I am as I'm traveling all over the world.
Yes.
Yes, my food is what we live on.
Me too. And I don't know how I would do without it. I started the cleanse, which was a 90-day cleanse, and I've never stopped since. I just keep the shake going and the aminos, which are amazing for rebuilding muscle tissue.
Yeah.
And again, their biomimetic is really
I did want to
fantastic.
mention the biomimetic because it's been clinically studied and proven to
Yes.
pull the glyphosate, which more and more people are aware of now. We don't want to be Roundup ready.
No, we do not want to be around up ready.
And to clear that glyphosate, which is in 80% of the rainwater, it's like endemic. I mean, you buy organic, but it's still everything's affected by the glyphosate. You eat out at all. You've got glyphosate. They're glyphosating the oats. They're glyphosating,
Mhm.
spraying it with Roundup to create easier harvests of wheat and soy. And well, you got Roundup ready soy and corn and the GMOs, and so they're endemic in our environment. So that biomimetic is clinically proven to pull that. So, like, take 2 capsules of that every morning.
Yes, and I do it twice a day actually in the beginning, and then once you're off the cleanse, then usually at least one time a day you want to take that. But one of the things about glyphosate that's pretty upsetting is
Yeah,
that
well,
they
yeah, it
used to
creates
spray
the
the soil because it would actually kill the plant if they sprayed the plant. So
right.
it's like,
That's
oh,
why
we'll
they had
just
to make them Roundup ready
yes,
with the GMOs so they could tolerate all the poisoning.
yeah,
But what about us?
but
And then it's creating all this leaky gut syndrome or the hyperpermeability of our intestinal tract.
hmm
And then people wonder why they have this spare tire
yes, yes.
and all the issues with leaky gut.
Well, with glyphosate, where they used to stop there at GMOing it and then spraying the soil with the Roundup, they discovered that they could spray the actual grain in the silos where they were drying it, and that would keep the grain from getting mold on it while it was in the drying process. So now our food is directly sprayed. Even though they couldn't directly spray the plant, they could directly spray the grain. And so we're inundated with this chemical that is
And is
so,
not safe in any way. And it's been linked to autism and all kinds of issues and cancers, many cancers. In fact, they lost a lot of cases now with
mhm,
the glyphosate. So it's another thing they called safe and effective,
yeah.
which was not safe and effective for our bodies
No,
or
it's
for our
not.
children, especially.
I noticed when I was really young, and I started eating really well at 16, but about 17, I started noticing that because I'd switched from white flour to whole wheat flour, I was having a lot of issues with it because that's where they were spraying the grain. So I went gluten free by the time I was 18. Once I did the cleanse, I now can eat grains again, but I get ancient grain bread that I'm making.
Kamut or
Kamut, spelt, rye, which hasn't been sprayed.
rye. I
Hmm.
mean, the Roman army ran on rye.
Yes, and getting those ancient grains that haven't been GMO'd is amazing because bread is good medicine when we know how to
When
use it
it's and
properly.
especially like sprouted. So that's
Yes.
really
Hmm.
our good breads. And so
Yeah.
it's not like people have to give up bread, but this is real practical,
Yeah.
useful information because so much of our bread has been glyphosated. And
Absolutely.
yeah.
If it's not organic, do not buy it.
And a lot of people think they're gluten intolerant when they're really glyphosate intolerant. So
That's exactly what happened to me all those years of staying away from these gluten grains, and it wasn't about that at all. And I would always know when I would eat something that had glyphosate on it, which I thought was just gluten, my ileocecal valve would blow open, which is the valve
yeah.
between the small and large intestine, causing distress in my digestion and elimination.
In other
The
words, a lot of gaseous activity as
Yeah,
well.
and loose stools and things like that because my body was like, get this out of here. I thought it was the gluten. Once I did the biomimetic, that has never happened again. And I'm eating grain almost daily now. And I just was grain free for years. And I can't believe the difference. And that was with just that one product. So,
Yeah, I hope everybody finds this interview really useful. I want to thank you, Vijay, Dr. Vijay. I love you and
I love you
appreciate
too.
this interview and you sharing with everybody. So,
It's been such a joy to spend some moments with you.
yeah, what a blessing we have to be able to share
Yeah.
your knowledge with everybody. It's practical. This is very practical, useful information for people.
Thank
Thank you.
you. Thank you for having me.